High up on a mountain shrouded in perpetual clouds lies a place forgotten by many. But for over a year, it was the beating heart of the global drug trade. A place that defied logic, mocked the law, and exposed the fragility of a nation in the face of fear. Here, the criminal wasn't punished. Here, the criminal reigned. This is the story of La Catedral, the prison where Pablo Escobar became his own warden, and where crime sat on a throne. In the 1980s, Colombia lived under constant threat. A nation hijacked by the drug trade. Any day, a bomb could explode, or a body could be found hanging from a bridge. Behind that shadow, one name ruled it all. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria. Escobar wasn't just a drug lord. He was an empire with legs, controlling smuggling routes, neighborhoods, police, politicians, even elections. Through the Medellin cartel, he turned cocaine into a global industry. Through his wealth, he turned fear into political leverage. He didn't always have to pull the trigger. People just needed to know that he could. But there was one thing Escobar couldn't control: extradition. The United States wanted him on its soil, and he swore he'd rather die in Colombia than serve time in a U.S. prison. To avoid capture, Escobar used terror as leverage. For years, he unleashed chaos as a negotiating tactic. He ordered broad daylight assassinations. He blew up commercial airplanes. He planted car bombs in public spaces. He murdered ministers of justice. He kidnapped the children of Colombia's elite and threatened to kill them, one by one, unless he was granted immunity. Eventually, the state caved. It was that, or watch the country implode from within. In 1991, Colombia amended its constitution and banned extradition. That same day, Pablo Escobar turned himself in. Dressed in white, he walked into custody before the cameras. To a prison already built, on land he already owned, designed to his exact specifications. Its name? La Catedral. From the start, it was clear this wasn't a prison. It was a legal hideout disguised as a fortress. La Catedral sat atop a remote mountain in Envigado, accessible only by a narrow, winding road. Every stone, every wall, every room, part of a larger strategy. Strategic location, only reachable via a guarded mountain road. Military movement visible from miles away. Controlled infrastructure, no state surveillance inside. 70% of the staff on Escobar's payroll. Scale and amenities, 94 acres of land. 2 professional-grade soccer fields. Private rooms for his inner circle. Industrial kitchen. Grand entertainment hall. Torture chamber. Hidden escape routes. This wasn't a cell. It was a castle. And Escobar was the undisputed king. His room rivaled a 5-star hotel. A king-size bed with imported Egyptian sheets. Carved hardwood furniture. Original paintings on the walls. A religious mural behind the headboard. A private bath with hot water, luxury soaps, and French cologne. He spent hours in front of the mirror. Not out of vanity, but because image was power. From his desk, surrounded by phones, he ran the cartel. Without interruption, without fear, with freedom and impunity. Professional chefs hired by his family staffed the kitchen. The food was fresh, varied, abundant. His favorite meals were simple: white rice, grilled steak, fried egg, sweet plantains, arepa, and a glass of milk to finish. What stood out wasn't the menu, but the infrastructure. refrigerators costing over $5,000, stainless steel workstations, fully stocked pantries, fine porcelain tableware. Outside, 2 full-sized soccer fields with stadium lights, games with uniforms, referees, and sometimes professional athletes. Renowned names were whispered. René Higuita is often mentioned. Some even claim Maradona visited, though it's never been confirmed. At the center stood the Grand Hall, a soundproofed space with LED lights, poker, blackjack, ping pong, slot machines, high-end sound, leather couches, and an altar to Saint Michael the Archangel. It was a casino, a nightclub, a sanctuary, a symbol that Escobar had lost nothing. Escobar was never truly alone. His wife, children, and closest allies lived nearby, along the hillside. From his room, he watched them daily through a telescope. He even built a full-sized dollhouse for his youngest daughter. Pastel colors, imported toys, a place designed to bring joy. Just meters away from where men were tortured and executed. The contradiction didn't bother him. It was his duality. Devoted father, ruthless killer. There was one room no one dared enter. No windows, no decoration. Just gray concrete, moisture, silence, and screams that never left. The torture chamber. It wasn't on blueprints. Its use was never logged, but everyone knew it existed. Inside, Escobar dealt with traitors, rivals, secrets. Some never came out. For months, the plan worked. Escobar lived in luxury, ran his empire, and faced no real pressure. But ambition knows no limits. By mid-1992, he demanded a weekly payment of $500,000 from his top lieutenants. It wasn't a request. It was a demand. 2 of the cartel's most powerful men, Fernando Galeano and Gerardo Moncada, refused. Escobar summoned them to La Catedral, and they were never seen again. Tortured, murdered, dismembered, their bodies burned in a makeshift pyre inside the prison. La Catedral, once a symbol of hidden power, had become a house of death, the point of no return. The family spoke out. The media amplified the story, and the government could no longer stay silent. Until then, President Cesar Gaviria stood by the agreement. He claimed Escobar was under control, that the state had won. But the murder of Galeano and Moncada exposed the truth. Escobar was never truly imprisoned. Photos of luxury, corruption, and murder inside La Catedral reached the international press. Washington took notice. The pressure became unbearable. The government moved. Escobar would be transferred to a real prison, under full state control. No luxuries, no favors. But Escobar had eyes and ears everywhere. Before the operation began, he already knew. Informants inside the government warned him. He kidnapped the officials organizing the transfer. He interrogated them and confirmed everything. On July 22, 1992, before dawn, in thick mountain fog, Escobar put his plan into motion. A rear wall, seemingly solid, was built with fake bricks set in plaster. A hidden emergency exit, designed from day one. With 12 of his men, he broke through using tools hidden inside. And just like that, they vanished. No gunfire, no pursuit, no resistance. Clean, silent, complete. Escobar slipped into the forested mountain, leaving behind an empty prison and a government humiliated before the world. The reaction was swift. Colombia activated the search block, an elite unit with one mission: capture Pablo Escobar, dead or alive. The CIA and DEA joined in. Millions poured into tech, informants, wiretaps, bribes, raids, surveillance, espionage. But Escobar knew Medellin better than anyone. He moved between safe houses and hidden apartments, through neighborhoods where he was still treated like a king. For 16 months, the most wanted man on the planet vanished into the shadows of his own city. December 2nd, 1993. A phone call revealed his location. A tapped line, a familiar voice, a fatal mistake. Search block agents converged on a modest house in Los Olivos, Medellin. Escobar tried to flee across the rooftops, barefoot, desperate, sprinting across hot tin like a ghost. One bullet to the leg, another to the torso, and finally, a fatal shot to the head. The world's most powerful drug lord fell face down onto a gray, sun-scorched rooftop. His body photographed, exposed, displayed as a warning. There was no doubt left. Pablo Escobar was dead. Years later, the San Benito Abad Foundation, an Anglican religious community, acquired the land. They built a monastery, a chapel to the Virgin Mary, undoer of knots, and opened the grounds to people seeking peace, reflection, or history. On the very ground where torture and orgies once took place, now stood prayer and silence. Over time, glamping sites and restaurants opened nearby. Cyclists and tourists came. But the ruins remain, moss-covered, vine-choked, still standing. Scars that refuse to heal. La Catedral was never just a prison, it was a symbol of how far corruption can reach, of what happens when a nation kneels before fear, of how a criminal can turn punishment into privilege, and justice into spectacle. Pablo Escobar built his own prison, filled it with luxuries, used it as a command center, and when it no longer served him, destroyed it with his own hands. Today, what's left isn't a palace. It isn't even a prison. It's a warning, not written in words, but in crumbling walls, urban legends, and silence. Some places hold secrets, stories you won't find in textbooks, but that still echo through their walls. If you want to uncover more, subscribe to Enigmas and turn on notifications.